So, my name is Craig. I have been dealing with addiction for a long time. I've been in and out of it. And some things about addiction and addicts specifically, us in addiction, and this isn't just addiction, it's alcoholism. It's both one and the same. We tend to live these lives hiding who we are. We tend to live pretending like there's no problems. We go to work trying to hide our issues from our bosses and our coworkers. We spend time with our families and pretend like everything's okay. We get on Facebook and, put up this Facebook front that we live these perfect lives. Not perfect, we have issues, but we always put up this front and make it seem like it's something that it isn't, because we don't want anyone to know our shame, our hurt, our pain, what we're going through. We don't want anyone to know, what happened to us when we were younger, whether neglect, abuse, trauma, anything like that. There was things that happened in my life that I still carry. I carried for many years. I really brought it up, like abandonment and rejection and stuff like that. That was my big deal. And I've been fighting addiction this whole time. And it's kept coming up. Anytime I went through a major relapse, that was the reason why. That's what come up, and I relapsed. But even in when I relapsed, we had like a 9-month relapse. To mostly everybody on Facebook and most of those around us, we pretended like it didn't happen. We made people believe something that was other than the truth. We didn't. We were reaching out for help, but a lot of the things that happened before the relapse was because of the relapse. We didn't. We lost our home and our car, and that caused us to relapse. But we put on this big front, even after we relapsed, that things were okay, that we weren't struggling, that we weren't dealing with drugs and alcohol, because there was shame, there was fear, there was embarrassment, that people would know what we're going through and look down on us. And in all reality, it shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't have people turning our backs on us and walking away from us because we're having a hard time in life and we're dealing with an illness that takes control of us. There's many other issues amongst those of us dealing with addiction, not only the drugs and alcohol, the stealing, the lying, the promiscuity, just everything that is typical and what people look at addicts as criminals, as terrible people and stuff like that. Most of us, we all have bad histories, bad childhoods, upbringings. We had parents that were not always bad parents, just didn't know how to be parents and were unaware of some of the issues that it would cause later on in life. So we get to this point where we get tired of our lives, and we get tired of what we're going through, and we're just tired, we're worn out, we hate who we are, we hate living our life the way we do. So we make a decision to come into rehab and come to treatment, and a lot of times that consists of many aspects, coming to residential treatment to get the help we need, and we seek out counselors and therapists to deal with the issues that we got going on, and to get help, really just to get help and get cleaned up. And then it moves on to something like PHP, which is partial hospitalization. And it's a step down, and we get a little bit more accustomed to real life, getting out of treatment, getting into real life. And then there's other things like sober living and stuff like that. But really the whole point of it is to give us some clean time to get away from the addiction and to learn either new life skills or, relearn life skills that we already knew that we lost touch of. There's so many different aspects of why we are the way we are. But we need help, we need to learn how to get back on our feet again. We need to learn how to live our lives, and that's a big part of what most good treatment centers offer is, helping us to get back on our feet and helping us to be more than getting on our feet. It's learning how to cope with life, how to deal with what we got going on up here, how to cope with stress, with pain, with triggers and stuff like that, because a lot of us have triggers, and a lot of the time, a lot of us don't know what they all are, but we need to learn these skills to be able to pick up on these triggers and to cope with them in a healthy way. We come in looking for leadership. We come in looking for guidance, for wisdom, community. Community is a big one. A lot of us don't have healthy families, or we're separated, or we don't talk to our families, or we turned our back on our families out of shame and stuff. So we come in here to not only get help for ourselves, but to be there for each other. In most treatment centers, the ones I've been into, it's anywhere between 20 and 40 people. And we build really good relationships with our brothers and our sisters in recovery, and we become good friends. And moving forward from here, a lot of the times, you have a few good people that you really tend to lean on and look out for and become brothers and sisters in this, to be there for each other, because the opposite of addiction is connection. And a lot of the problems that we have in life is because we become disconnected from our family, from our friends, from those, our loved ones. Through different circumstances, whether moving, whether jobs, whether whatever, we lose contact and we don't talk to our old friends the way we used to. And some of us don't build new relationships. Some of us, like myself, are not good at building friendships and relationships. We tend to isolate and get on our own. And we need people. We were made to be around people. We were made to have friends and family and commune with each other, to fellowship with each other, to look out for each other and all that. And we don't do that in addiction. We withdraw, we isolate, we hide from people, we hide our shame, our guilt, and what we're going through. And that's got to stop. And one of the big parts that a lot of people may not realize about recovery is, like in the 12 steps and many other programs, the number one reason that we do this is to find a higher power. And, my higher power is God, and I do believe in Jesus Christ, but my higher power is God. And, some people have their own concept of who or what God is. I know mine. But the thing is, a lot of the essence of addiction is, it's a spiritual malady, as AA says. It's a lack of connection with a power greater than ourselves. Because a lot of times we have a lot of people that use wisdom and knowledge as their higher power, but the fact of the matter is, whenever you're worshiping, or whenever wisdom and knowledge is your higher power, that higher power can only do as much for you as you know. And as many of us know, we live with an illness that uses what we know and what we believe against us. And if we don't put our focus outside of ourselves, then we're in big trouble, because when I'm by myself, when I'm alone with my knowledge and my wisdom, I'm with the last person I got high with. And that's not a good combination. I have to put my faith in God, and I have to look to Him, because only He knows the best way to lead me and guide me down this recovery journey to heal the way I need to heal. A lot of these addictions contain multiple different things, not just drugs and alcohol, not just, sleeping around and stuff. There's other things like Facebook. A lot of us have a lot of pain in our past, and pain and heartache and things that are going on that don't ever leave our minds. And we got Facebook, and we got Instagram, and we got Snapchat, and so many of us are so buried in these apps and this false life and this fantasy world. And we do it because we don't want to be by ourselves. We can't sit with ourselves. And that's one of the things that treatment and rehab deal with is, we learn to sit in our own thoughts. We got to cope with this stuff. We got to deal with this stuff. We can't just put our thoughts and our ADHD and all that on a treadmill and run for hours and not go anywhere. We have to get off these apps, and we got to start dealing with this stuff. The funny thing is that I find quite ironic, sorry y'all, all this stuff I've talked about being an addiction, and putting up these false fronts, these Facebook fronts, and pretending that we are something that we aren't, and needing help, and going to places to get help, and reaching out, and looking for community, all that. That's an addiction, but it's also the church. They're the same. It's the same thing. Even though many of us may not be addicted to alcohol and drugs or whatever it may be, there are so many more people that struggle with life in general, that struggle with their own thoughts, that struggle with their own fears, the trauma, the abuse. All that is just as prevalent outside of addiction as it is inside addiction. It's just in addiction, we use drugs and alcohol to ease the pain. We self-medicated. It wasn't a matter of, oh, I just want to get high and I want to steal and I want to do stuff like that. We are living in pain and heartache and trauma and abuse, and we carry that around every day. And the only thing that we want is relief from the pain. You know, a lot of people are mad at homeless people. Oh, that money I gave him to go get something to eat, he used it to drink. You damn right he did. If I was homeless and I had nothing, and I lost my family, and I had no job, and I had nothing, and the only thing that I had to give any kind of relief was a beer, you dang right I would go drink. It's not up, you know, it's between you and God what you do with your money, and it's between him and God or her and God what they do with that money. So moving forward, you know, the church is the same. The church is full of people that are hurting, that are in pain, that were abused, that were raped, that were beat when they were kids, that were abandoned, that were neglected, that you know, they never even met their own mother and father. They was raised in a foster home. And we get to the point where we can't cope with it and we need some help. And looking, like, when you look at the people that are in the church, they're all the same as us. And the reason we go to church is to look for that help. We want the relief. Us as Christians, we want the relief. We want to let go of the pain. And we're looking for any outlet that can bring healing and can help us out. And that's why we go to church, is for God. And yes, the church has had a very bad perception of a bunch of people that put on this front and act like there ain't got no problems. It's the same thing, the Facebook front. We put this perfect life out on Facebook. Nobody knows that we're having any issues, but yet the first person that hears us cuss or seeing us drink or whatever, dating somebody or sleeping with somebody outside of a marriage, oh my God, they're liars and they're hypocrites. No, shut up. We are hurting and we are in pain and we are not perfect. And this stigma against the church that has got to stop, because this is leading people to believe that God is somebody that he isn't. Because he cares about the people in church just as much as he does people in addiction. It's the same thing. You know, the church is full of people who are addicted to Facebook and Instagram because they can't deal with what's going on. They're addicted to caffeine, going and getting these Starbucks and these caffeinated drinks and these Red Bulls and these energy drinks 2 and 3 times a day. Food addiction, gambling addiction, nicotine. I'm still dealing with that. There's so many other aspects and issues that are going on. And the thing is we've all got the same histories. We've all got the same problems. And instead of rehab, we go to church. And instead of, you know, going to AA meetings, we go to small groups. Instead of going to treatment, we go to church. Yeah, I just said that, but anyway. We go looking for community. We go looking for help. We go looking for leadership, and we go looking for our higher power. Because we know we can't do it on our own. We're at the end of our wits. And we go talk to our pastors, and we go talk to our leadership in church just the same way that in treatment we go talk to therapists and counselors. It's exactly the same thing. But it's amazing how it's so polarized. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, after 25 years of addiction, my brain don't exactly work right, but that's all right. It's so polarized as 2 different aspects and 2 completely different things, but it is exactly the same with a different label. And the problem really lies on the fact that we have been so separated into classes of people. Because God doesn't love the pastor of a church any more than he loves the drug addict out on the street. He don't. We're all his children. We're all his kids. He created all of us. And he loves us all. And whenever we're sitting in these church pews, after we done went out to the bar last night and slept with some new girl, acting like we're better than somebody in treatment, we got a big problem. There is so much separation in this world, so much division that has got to come to an end. I mean, We've even got oh my gosh, the way it's in the church. I think last time I checked, there's over 300 and something different denominations in the Christian church itself. When God said we're to be one in unity. And look at us, we're fighting over baptism. We're fighting over religion and legalism and all this stuff. And it was never about religion, because Jesus came to break us free from religion so that we could have a relationship with God. He tore into the Pharisees and the Sadducees because they pretended to be so good and perfect, but they were terrible on the inside. When he wasn't expecting them to be perfect on the inside, he was just expecting them to have a relationship with God, and God makes us perfect. That's one of the things that we learn, that's why we have grace, is because we're not perfect, and we're not going to be perfect because we cannot be God. We got to stop hiding all this crap that we're going through, and we got to get with our brothers and sisters and our neighbors and open up and discuss these things, because something that I went through and that I'm having trouble with, the guy next to me has already been through, and he's healed from it, and he's moved forward, and he has the tools that I need, and God can use him to speak into me to move forward in life. And it's the same thing in the church. We go in, we sit on the pew, and we hear the pastor speaking, and we turn around right back out the door, right back to the same life, and then we wonder why we can't freaking get straight. And it's the same thing in treatment. Or in addiction. We go and we want to stop drinking, and we walk into an A meeting, we sit down, we listen to other people talk, and then we get a little help, and then we walk out, and then we can't get no help because we're not opening up and we're not being vulnerable with each other. We got to get away from this, because our world and our nation is struggling because we keep hiding what is going on. We keep hiding what's in our heart, and we keep not talking. Men have been raised to shut their mouths and not talk. I was one of them. My dad never talked about nothing. And I never talked about anything for so many years. I went to treatment the first time when I was 17, and I still never talked, and I believe there was still no help for me. It wasn't until I was about 25 I had to go to treatment 3 times and finally got some help, and life got better, but there was still many things I didn't talk about. And here I am, 39, about to be 40, and I'm still in treatment. I'm in treatment again. Because a lot of these issues that go on in my life, I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to communicate, and we've got to get over that. We've got to get some unity in this. I mean, even in the anonymous meetings, you got Alcoholics Anonymous who thinks they're better than Narcotics Anonymous, and Narcotics Anonymous thinks they're better than Heroin Anonymous and Sex Anonymous and all that. And when it's all the same thing, it's the same steps, it's the same desire, it's the same trouble, it's the same pain, it's just a different medication. When are we going to be done? When are we going to come together and help each other instead of stop trying to act like we're better than each other? This has got to stop. We got to move forward in life. We got to come together as one people and realize that we are all the same, just our struggles and our medications are different. I pray that everyone gets, something out of this, not because it's for me, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a preacher, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a leader. I'm just a guy that has lots of experience in and out of addiction, in and out of church, and a lot of experience in what I wouldn't say it's strange, just an unusual relationship with God, finding out who he really is outside of the church. And this isn't every church. I'm not calling out any specific church. This is the body of Christ in general that I'm talking about. We have got to stop hiding. We've got to stop isolating. We've got to stop acting like we're better people. We got to start loving, because loving is the number one commandment. Love covers a multitude of sins, and we've got to realize that, and we've got to start operating in that. And that's not just the church, that's not just Christians, that's everybody. Because when we start to love one another and love each other and stop allowing this division to come between us, and jealousy and arrogance and pride, so many things would change. So many things would change. So I encourage each and every one of you, next time you see someone struggling with drugs or alcohol, or struggling with an issue, or staring at their phones for hours, just speak to them. Say, hey, you okay? How can I help you? I know most people are arguing with me, but go buy that homeless man a couple beers and a burger. But sit and talk with him and love on him. Because yes, that beer will bring him some help, but at the same time, I was there. I was the homeless guy on the side of the road holding up the sign, begging for money so I could go get some dope. That was me. And the only reason I got out of that is, number one, because of God, and number two, because people that showed me love. A big thing of in addiction is rejection. And when we hate ourselves and we're desperate and we're in so much pain and the world around us hates us and rejects us, that don't help us. That don't get us out of what we're going through. That don't fix our life. People that give a damn and love us, that's what helps. Our friends and our family that step up and do what needs to be done to show love. Are the counselors and the therapists that know what it's like to be in this and love us because they know what we've been through and know that love is the only thing that's going to get us out of it. That is what helped us. You know, when my wife and I relapsed about 10 months ago, 11 months ago, something like that, we had a lot of people that flat out walked away from us. Right at the start, that before we even relapsed, when we started having financial trouble with our house and our car and stuff because I left my job, a lot of people walked away from us immediately, assuming that we were already relapsed. We relapsed because of the rejection, because of people in places that turned their backs on us and walked away from us. That's why we relapsed. That's why we fell off, because of the rejection and the abandonment, because we thought we were in good with a lot of people that we weren't in good with. We thought a lot of more people loved us. Now I'm not saying everybody, there was a lot of people that stuck with us for a good while. And there was still a few people that stuck with us through the whole thing. And my God, those are truly, truly the mighty ones in God. The ones that know what's going on, they understand and know our pain and still stuck it with us. We are grateful for them and for everybody that offered us any kind of help.
How you get upstairs?
There. It's not until you go through something really hard that you find out who those are that are really serious for God and for Christ. And I'm grateful for all these people, but at the same time, the whole church should be the same way. And I just hope things can change for the better, because not only the whole world, but especially this nation is in deep trouble right now. Deep trouble. We are so divided. We are so torn apart. We are so hateful of each other in different kinds. In every aspect. I'm not even going to call out any aspects because it's in everything. Anything and everywhere. So yeah, I want to thank anyone that took the time to listen to this. I hope y'all share so that this word can go further out. I don't do this for personal gain. I don't get any money from this. I'm not trying to make money off of this. It's just I feel there's a message that needs to go out, and I'm trying to get that word out. You know, there's a lot of us out there, people in addiction, pastors, preachers that put their word out. And, you know, like I said, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a preacher. I'm just a guy with a lot of experience putting my own personal opinion out there and my viewpoint. That's all I am. And I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. I mean to encourage, to lead others, to evaluate our own lives and look at what we're doing. Because I'm not perfect. I do it too. I do a lot of this stuff too. Like I said, I still do things that I shouldn't be doing. I'm still vaping. I do believe in God and I follow God. And, you know, it's an addiction to nicotine, but I'm still dealing with that. And God will take it from me in the time that He's ready to take it from me, because I obviously can't quit on my own. And I know some of y'all are going to say, oh, well, you're in treatment, you're in rehab, you should be able to do that too, one thing at a time. If you don't fully understand one thing at a time, it's one thing at a time. But yeah, thank y'all for listening. Share it, comment, I don't care, whatever you want to do. At least please share it so more people can hear this word. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.